day number 2. You came back. I knew you would. I totally knew that you would come back. Day number 2, freedom from your past. This is going to be a really good one. I hope you're excited. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get started on day number 2. Is that okay? Just want to kind of clean a few things up, and then we're going to dive into day 2's topic, freedom from your past. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, first I wanted to tell you that, yesterday it was just so encouraging. I got so many messages from you guys. My inbox was overflowing. And again, I just need you to know, I'm not crooked. I'm a little crooked here. I just need you to know that even though I may not be responding to every single message, hello, I am reading them, and thank you for sending them, and I love hearing your stories. So thank you. Also, thank you so much for everybody who is participating in the Facebook group. That is huge. Just knowing that you are interacting with each other and that you are communicating and that you are sharing, that is huge. And so I love to see the interaction. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted that this is not, I moved my setup, but it's okay. If you're a little crooked, we can have some squirrel moments. Just right here at the beginning, because we're at housekeeping stage, right? And so housekeeping means that I can clean it up. So good morning. All right. The next thing that I wanted you to know is that this is day 2. And so if you are just joining in and you have not watched day 1, here's the deal. Go ahead, put this on pause, click in, don't watch anymore, and go and watch day 1. This is very important in this series that you really go through this every single day and let it build upon each other, okay? So that's huge. We're wanting this to build upon each other. We want to soak in day 1, and then we want to go to day 2, and we want to soak in day 2, and then we so on and so on. I said it yesterday, but if you get behind anywhere on this series, if you get behind, don't feel like you have to get caught up and do like 10 million days in a row, and then you're like, okay, great, I'm caught up. No, this is a process, and we really want you to walk through it. So go through day 1, then move on to day 2, then move on to day 3. And so really let each day sink in. Think about the topics that we talk about every day. Study the scriptures, memorize the scriptures, meditate on the scriptures. If you've got the book, do the homework. Do the homework that I give you in these videos, and let it build upon each other. So if you get a day behind, then you're just going to finish a day later, and that is completely okay. Speaking of the book, Jeremiah, my awesome husband, made sure to pin in the post. If you want the book, you can get it at shop.spelloutyou.infuse.com. However, if it is not in your budget to get this book, you do not need the book, okay? And so I'm going to say that in the first few videos, just in case somebody's just tuning in and they didn't do what I said and clicked off and went and watched the first video. But you do not need this book, so I don't want that to be an excuse of, oh, it's not in my budget, maybe I'll catch it next year. No, you can do this without the book. So there you go. That was a little bit of homework, and the next thing, 2 more little things, and then we're going to move on. The next one is, like I said earlier, participate in the Facebook group. Right here, where you're watching this Facebook Live, if you're watching it live, if you're watching it via YouTube, and you are have a Facebook account, make sure you get in our Facebook group, 50K to pray. So you go to facebook.com/groups/50K to spell out 2. Pray, and we want to get you connected, because this is a place where we are all coming together and we are going to be discussing what we're going through every day. The Facebook Lives live here, and if you are not on Facebook and you're watching this via YouTube, that is great. You can watch it via YouTube, and that is all fine and dandy with me if it works for you. But in the Facebook group, leave your comments. When we're asking questions, I love seeing your feedback, because one of the things that I kept seeing over and over yesterday as I was reading through the comments was a reoccurring question that I wanted to touch on before we move into Days 2 topic, because it was such a fantastic question and a lot of people were asking it, and I kind of thought it was hilarious because I was even dealing with the exact same thing. I even wrote it because remember I told you yesterday, I'm going through this process with you. So I flipped to day 1 just like you guys did. And I did day 1 and I wrote out my homework. And I woke up this morning really early and got up, and there's a little closet back over there, and I went in that closet so I didn't wake my husband up, and I did day 2. So I'm walking through this process with you. But one of the questions that I heard yesterday that was hilarious was, Monique, so okay, I am all about giving God control because that was day 1's topic, giving God control. Okay, I want to do it. But how do I know how to balance that I'm doing it, but then also that I need to work? And how do I know that I'm handing over control? So I love that question because it's like we are trying to control how we're handing over control. That cracks me up. But that was me too. The process of even doing the videos for this book and going through the series right here with you guys, Facebook Live, the couple of days leading up to it, I was really stressing out a lot because I was really feeling like, I've gone through the process of writing this book, right? So, the process is near and dear to my heart. We've done this series last year, so this isn't new to me. I've done the series. I even then took that series that we did and I wrote a book on it. And so, I've spent countless hours, and it's really like something I'm passionate about. Each day I'm passionate about. But as I'm sitting here thinking about going live with you guys and doing the videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be prepared, and I need to be like doing more, and I need to be like, oh my gosh, I need to do these videos ahead of time, and I need to be thinking of all of these extra things that I can be bringing them. And I was like stressing out, and I was wanting to do all this, and I just kept feeling this need of, Monique, you need to relax. Like, you need to relax a little bit, sister, and enjoy the process. But then as I started going, okay, I'm chillax. I'm gonna sit back here and I'm not gonna stress out. And and then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Monique, you're not doing enough. You need to be a little bit more prepared. And then, so it's this balance. And so I want to tell you that question that you asked is hilarious because I'm going to read what I wrote on day 1 yesterday before I hit live button to do the very first video. I said, I am trying to find balance with that in this book, in this video series. I'm wanting to stay out of the way, but still be prepared and do things with excellence. Like, help me, Lord. What does that look like? I want to give you control and I want to allow you to have your way, but still I feel like I need to have a little bit of control, and that is great. And I want you to know that we are going to be discussing a little bit more on this topic later in the book. And because we have to hit it twice, you know why? Because it is something that I struggle with. And so I put a lot of the stuff that I struggle with inside this book. And we're going to be talking about it on the videos. And so we dive into that later. Don't go peek through the chapters. Stay on today. But we're going to talk about that later and go into it in more detail. But right now, at this beginning stages of giving God control, let's think about what we talked about yesterday with just acknowledging. We are acknowledging that maybe there have been times in our life where we've tried to do things on our own, or we've tried to just not allow Him to have His way. So let's right now just think about giving God control as saying, Lord, I hand it over to you. I want you involved. I want you to have your way. I want you to be a part. And then I'm going to trust. I'm just going to trust in you. And so again, we're going to touch on that later, but I wanted to answer it because I was seeing it a lot, and I want you to know that you're not alone, that I still to this day, even feeling like I'm at a much different place than I was probably 8 years ago on my journey of allowing God to have control. I still struggle with, oh my gosh, Lord, am I giving you control? One last thing, and we'll move into day 2's topic. But a lot of times in business, when I feel like I'm trying to push a door open, like I'm trying and I'm spinning my wheels and nothing's happening, that's where a lot of times I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm trying to force this, and as much as I'm trying to force it, it's not working. So I'm going to stop for a second. And that's when I just am honest and I tell the Lord, You know, I really feel like I'm spinning my wheels here and not a lot's happening, and I feel like I'm working really hard in my own might, and so I want to step back and kind of hand things over to you for a second. And again, there's a fine balance, and we're going to talk about that later down the road, actually on 2 different days. But don't let it stress you out right now. The biggest thing that I want you to do is just to acknowledge that you want the Lord to be a part of what you're doing. Okay? All right, guys. Well, we're going to move into day 2, and I want to do something a little different before we get started. This is a heavy topic today. It is something that I think is so important, and I want you to know it's a heavy topic on day 2. And I know you're probably thinking, you know, Monique, why, like, you're trying to make this a little bit more difficult than it seems, but I want you to understand that these first two or like the topics, how they build, and why I want you to study it one day and then move to the next and then move to the next, is because I really feel like you've got to conquer this part, or you've got to set it in motion. Maybe not conquer, that might not have been the right word, but you've got to set this in motion through these stages. We're talking about business here, but you guys, this can be applied to anybody, any career, really just life in general, okay? But today's topic is freedom from the past. And before we dive into it, I just want to take a second, maybe 10 seconds here, and just pray, and then we're going to dive in, all right? Lord, oh man, today's topic, freedom from the past. We all deal with it. We all have a past. So Lord, I pray as we are discussing this today, Lord, that you would give me the words to say, and that it wouldn't be just something that I'm thinking that I'm gonna fix, that through my words that I'm gonna help people find freedom. But Lord, it's you. It's really you who, during our time together, that I pray you reveal things to people, Jesus. Show them areas that maybe they've buried deep down that they need to apply this topic today too, because Lord, I know that you can bring freedom, and I know that you can reveal these things, and I know that you will, not just that you can, but you will bring freedom as we discuss today's topic, freedom from the past. I love you, Lord. Thank you for everybody who's watching this live and everybody who is going to be watching this down the road via the video. I love you, Jesus. Speak to us. Amen. All right, guys. So, freedom from the past. I am going to be reading actually a little bit from this book today. So if you have it, flip it open, 21 Days of Prayer for Your Business. If you don't have it, go grab you a notebook and a pen, because what I'm going to be reading through are some of the questions that I ask at the beginning part of Days 2 chapter. And I want you to think about it, okay? And so rather than me just kind of winging it here, I'm actually going to read what I've written in the book, and I want you to take note of it, and I want you to walk through the homework. What I do love about this book, when I created it, I didn't want it to be just something that somebody read, but I actually wanted it to be something that you were digging deep, and you were really not just reading words, but you were applying those words. It's one thing to read it, and it's another thing to go, okay, how does this topic apply to me right now where I'm at? And so I want you, if you don't have the book, to please participate still in these writing exercises, because it's very important. And so I say on here, think about your past. Think about your past. Have you ever been like me, like I was? Oh, wait. Day 2. Ignore me. Day 2. Finding freedom. It would need to be right here where I say read, Monique. Read. Not day 1 where I had just flipped to. Is my face red? Sometimes I have a little mishaps. Finding freedom, people. We're going to find freedom from that little mistake that I just made, and we're going to move on. Finding freedom. Let's begin the process of finding freedom. We're on page 10 if you've got the book. We're on page 10 if you've got the book. Let's begin the process of finding freedom, shall we? We can't find freedom until we know what we need to find freedom from. I'm going to read that again. We can't find freedom until we know what we need to find freedom from. Today, you are going to be doing some deep soul searching. I'm giving you a heads up. It may even be a bit painful, but please push through. Be honest and transparent in your writing. Start by thinking of your past mistakes and failures. What can you learn from them? Your failures can make you bitter, or they can make you better. They can make you sink into the depths of despair, or they can fuel you to do things differently. You can take on the role of a victim, or you can be a hero and help others find hope. We have a choice in how we view our past failures. Take a second and think about the positive things that could come from your past. How can it benefit you moving forward and helping others? I want you to think about that. You don't have to write it down right now, but I want you to think about it. You've got a past. If you're living and breathing, there was a yesterday. You existed yesterday if you're here today. So that means you have a past. We all have it. And I don't know what your past looks like. I don't know what it holds or what it held. I don't know the easy road you may have lived, or I don't know the very difficult road you have lived. I don't know what that looks like. But I do know that we all have a past. And I also know that that past does not define who we are. I need you to look at me really quick. Whatever has happened to you, whatever you have walked through, it does not define who you are, okay? Moving forward today, you may have allowed it to define you for how many ever years you've been alive. You may have allowed it to define you, but I need you to know, this point moving forward, it will no longer define you. It's not going to define you. It's not going to happen. If anything comes out of this 21 days of prayer that we're doing, that you're doing, it's going to be that your past no longer has hold of your future. It doesn't. It's not going to, it ends here. It ends here. You see, my story, I talked about it yesterday, and you remember if you watched day one, is that I had major failures in my past. Mine had to do with business, and yours could be any number of things, but mine had to do with business. And for 4 years, I allowed those past mistakes and I allowed those past failures to really not just keep me from dreaming, but actually I let it define me. I started listening to voices in my head that said, Monique, this is how you are. Like, you're always going to be like this. You're always going to have issues with this. So if you try again, just know that you're going to face that. And you're going to continue to follow the same path of mistake after mistake after mistake. So you really probably just need to stop. Like, why even try? Because great, you may find a little bit of success, but it's going to go to your head again, Monique. You are going to, you may break out and dream again, but you're probably going to have it shattered again. You know what? Those relationships that you built, and then there was some things that happened with it, you're probably going to screw things up later on, and you're going to walk through the same thing again. So for 4 years, I allowed that to define me. It wasn't something that I just walked through and I felt bad about, but I let it sink in and say, this is who you are. There's no hope. This is who you are. So then I later go into this on the next part, down on page 10. Let's read. It says, hurts cut deep. Hurts cut deep. There is more to our past than mistakes and failures. So, okay, listen, we've got these mistakes and failures, right? We've talked about that. So there is more to our past than mistakes and failures. Yep. While we are on the subject, let's just lay it all out on the table. Raise your hand if you have ever been hurt. Any of you. Have there been any of you out there watching? You can raise your hand. Anybody been hurt? Have you ever experienced rejection? Hey, how about this? Have you felt abandoned? Anyone? Have you had words spoken over you that cut deep? Not just words spoken, but they cut. They went deep into your heart. Take a second to write out some of these experiences. Yes, it may be hard to do, but voicing them will be the first step to finding freedom. You guys, today I want you to think about those things. When we end our time together, maybe you've already done it. Think about these things. Write it in your book. Write it in a notebook. What are the times that what are your mistakes? What are your failures? What are your hurts? I wrote them out. I'm walking through this with you guys right now. I know what my hurts and my failures, I know what my past mistakes and my failures and my hurts were 4 years ago that I walked through during the 21 days. But guess what? I'm still kicking and breathing. And you know what? That means I'm still living. And that means I'm still walking through things that I need to find freedom from. So I wrote out currently what are some fresh hurts, some fresh words that have been spoken over me. I wrote them down. And I realized that I've got to find freedom, not just 4 years ago. It's not something that you just check off and now it's hunky-dory the rest of your life. You've got to constantly be walking and finding freedom from things that you've gone through and things that are spoken over you. And I can't even begin to imagine what some of these things are going to be that you write down. I have no clue what they are, but I can tell you I've read your messages and I know what a lot of things have been sent to me. Whether it's things that your spouse has said about you, whether it's things that family members have said about you, whether it's things that parents have said about you, whether it's things that coworkers have said about you, whether it's things that teachers have said about you, it doesn't define you. It doesn't define you at all. Before we can step forward and continue to walk in a forward motion and find success in our business or just contentment and peace in life, we have got to find freedom over these things that we allow to hold us captive. We're going to keep on reading. Don't believe the lies, you guys. So here, page 11, it says, why are we discussing such a heavy topic right here on day 2? I believe it's one of the biggest obstacles on our path to success. Past mistakes, failures, and hurts not only wound our hearts, but they also get in our heads. They keep us from moving forward. They make us fearful to try again. We believe we will just repeat the same thing over and over. We will get hurt again. We will suffer rejection again. We will mess up again. Why should we even bother? We believe we are what that friend said about us. We believe we are what that spouse said about us. We believe we are what that coworker said about us. We believe we are what that boss said about us. We believe we are what that teacher said about us. Listen, we have got to find freedom over these things and understand that they keep us from living the abundant life Christ Jesus has set out for us. When you listen to these voices, they win. And then I say on here, do you want to get me on a soapbox? Oh boy, this fires me up. The enemy wants nothing more than to keep you watching this, not somebody else, but you watching this right now. The enemy wants nothing more than to keep you from walking in the life that you were designed to live. There is power in you walking out who you were made to be. And the enemy wants nothing. It freaks him out more than anything to catch a glimpse that there may be a possibility or a hope that you are for a second going to be who you were made and designed to be. it scares the heck out of him because there's power in walking out your design. There's power in it. Day number 2, we've given God control yesterday, but today on day 2, we are going to start walking in freedom. And we are going to walk boldly and confidently in the path that is set out for us. We are. Not maybe, we are, okay? So let's talk about it. I just used a word that may be like, what are you talking about, Monique? What is that word enemy? Why are you throwing out this word? It seems kind of like, huh? The enemy. Who is the enemy? Well, I want to tell you, in the Bible, whenever you break your Bible out, it talks about that we do have an enemy. We have somebody. What is enemy? Let's start off. I say it in the book. Define the word enemy. What is the word enemy? What does it mean to you? Just really quick, think in your head, what's enemy? I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Okay, did you think of a definition of enemy? An enemy is somebody who is working against you. An enemy is somebody who really doesn't want to see you win, right? We have an enemy. It says in the Bible, I'm actually going to start with Ephesians 6:12. It's the very first verse that I want you to write down. I will share it in the Facebook group later today that you can print out if you don't have the flip book. But it says, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood. For our struggle, your struggle, my struggle, the mind games, the things that we go through, it's not against flesh and blood. But it is against the rulers. It is against the authorities. It is against the powers of this dark world and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. I know it sounds kind of out there, right? Sounds kind of, Monique, this is getting a little kooky. I totally knew I shouldn't dive into this 21 days of prayer. No, listen to me. The Bible is real. The Bible is real. The word is true. And it says, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but it is against the rulers. It is against the authorities. It is against the powers of this dark world and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. The struggle is real. The mind games are real. It's really not just what that teacher said about you. I'm telling you, it is a spiritual battle. And the enemy, I believe, is Satan. So whenever we talk about this, who is the ruler over all of this dark, over all of these, this realm over here, I believe it's Satan, and that is an enemy. And it says, the thief, this is in John 10:10, the thief does not come except, the thief does not come except to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But God has come that we may have life, and not just life, that we may have abundant life. Now let's talk about that for a second. Whenever we deal with our past and those past mistakes and those past failures and the things that people have said about us, the abandonment, the rejection, the things that we have gone through, when we allow that to define us, what does it do? When you are defined, when you allow that to be who you think you are, what happens? What do you feel? Well, I don't know about you, but when I allow that thing to take root in my life, I lose peace. I can't sleep at night. I've lost my contentment. I have no hope. I feel like there's no hope. It's always going to be this way. But Monique, this is always going to be the way it's going to be. So I have no peace. I've lost all hope. That sounds like the enemy who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to steal your peace. He wants to destroy your peace. He wants to steal your hope. He wants to destroy your hope. He wants to steal your future. Because when you are caught up in the past, when you are living in the past and allowing it to define you, you are not walking into your future of who you were made to be. And that is when the enemy wins. That's what he wants. He wants you to be stuck over there in the past. He doesn't want you to be who you were designed to be. But I'm going to tell you That is not what we're going to walk in moving forward. So how do we do it, Monique? Great. That is great. I don't want my past to define me. Monique, I want to have hope again. I want to have peace again. I want to walk in who I was made to be, but how do I do it? How do I do it? Well, great. The very first thing, like I said, is we've got to acknowledge, right? Just like yesterday that we had to acknowledge, God, we give you control. Now we've got to acknowledge that these are the things that are holding me back. These are the things that I've allowed to define me. Think about those things. What are those things? Listen to me. October, I told the story. I quit work in August of 2012. In October of 2012, and I'm going to dive more into the story down the road, but in October of 2012, I attended a women's conference at Church of the Highlands. Darlene Check, one of my bucket list items was actually to attend a live recording of hers. She was the leading worship at this women's conference, and just so happened to be recording on Saturday evening her live recording for her new album. And it was a bucket list of mine. And I went to it. Now remember, I've just quit work. I'm still I'm walking through these past failures. I've got a relationship with the Lord. How many knows that you can have a relationship with the Lord, but you can still allow things to hold you captive? And we don't need to. So here I am, a Christian. Here I am believing in the Lord, attending a women's conference. And there was this song that she was playing. And I will never forget, you guys. I will never forget exactly where I was standing. I'm going to share the song with you later today in the Facebook group. I'll never forget where I was standing, and she was recording, and it's great because I can go watch this live video and go, that's the moment right there in that room, that live recording. I wish I could look over and I wonder, is that where I was right there, standing when I said, Lord, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to let this define me. I am a dreamer. I know that I was made for such a time as this. I know that I have a hope, and I know that I have a future, and I'm not going to let my past define me anymore. It was during that song, you guys. And it was during that time that I was like, the Lord is bigger than all of this. He is bigger than my mistakes. He is bigger than my failures. And it's called Victor's Crown. He has won. He has already defeated the enemy. Kooky as it may sound, he has been defeated. Therefore, I will walk in freedom. I will walk in freedom. I am not defined by anything that has happened to this point forward. I'm not going to let it define me. The Lord has already won this battle. And so, Lord, I lay it down. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. The hurts, the rejection, the abandonment, I'm done. I'm not going to let it keep me from being and living the abundant life that you have set out for me. And I laid it down. You guys, that is the moment. I'm telling you, that is the moment where I really believe the Lord started going, okay, sister, here you go. Here you go. I am going to start just laying it out before you. That women's conference is I set and developed a friendship with the girl who actually got me on the journey that I'm on right now with the company that I'm with. And you guys, what a beautiful visual example of the Lord saying at that moment where you handed over control and you allowed me to define your future and allowed this not to define the past, not to define you. What a beautiful moment that there this girl was placed in my life that got me on this journey that I'm on now. It's an amazing thing. He can do the exact same thing for you. And all it is saying, Lord, I'm not and let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times I prayed to that point. I had prayed a whole lot to that point of, okay, Lord, I give it over to you. Okay, Lord, I give it over to you. But I'd pick it right back up. Okay, Lord, I give it over to you. Lord, I'm done with this. Okay, I'd pick it right back up. Right back up, I'd pick it right back up. And I'd let the second those feelings, because guess what? you can hand things over, but there's going to be a time where those emotions come back to you and they hit you in the face, but you have to choose whether or not you're going to pick it up. The hurt can come back into your heart when you think about it, but you choose whether or not you're going to sit there and you're going to dwell on it, or whether you're going to, nope, I laid it down. I laid it down. I'm not picking it back up. Not picking it back up. It doesn't define me. Not going to happen. It's not who I am. So at that moment, I said, I'm done. Really, I am done. And you have defeated it. Not in my own might, because before I was doing it in my own might. Before I was going, Lord, I put it down. Here you go. I'm working. Plop. There you go. But there was a difference, because this time it wasn't just me handing it over. It was, Lord, I'm handing it over, but you have defeated. You have defeated the enemy. You wear the victor's crown. So in your name, I am walking in freedom. Okay? Am I freaking you out? Oh man, I hope I'm not freaking you out. This is a little deep. This is a deep. Now listen, we could talk for the next 21 days about freedom. Freedom owns me. Freedom is something that I am like, oh man, like so passionate about. I could talk about it and have squirrel moments for the next 21 days. And know that freedom is a process. Freedom is a process. And it may not just happen like that, but it may. I'm telling you, when you realize that it is Him that is fighting your battles, let Him fight your battles for you. Listen to this. Listen to this. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Oh, my word, this is good. 2 Corinthians 10. 2 Corinthians 10, 3 through 5, okay? Oh, memorize this verse today, guys. Memorize this verse. Meditate on this verse. Think about this verse, okay? For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. We may live here, but we don't wage war like we live here. For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not weapons of this world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. And we take captive every thought and we make it obedient to Christ. Can I read it one more time? I love this verse. Oh my gosh, I love this verse. For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not weapons of this world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. And we take captive every thought and we make it obedient to Christ. You guys, I'm telling you, the struggle is real. The battle is real. The past mistakes are there. It comes back to us. The voices in our head, the hurts in our heart, they are real, but they don't define you. They don't define you. They are not who you are. And right now, on day 2 of the 21 days of prayer, what we are going to do is we are going to walk in freedom. And we are going to say, it's in my past. Freedom. I'm moving forward. That's not who I am. Oh, yeah? And I talk to myself a lot. Listen, do you think I still don't deal with this? Do you think the mind games still don't go in my head of, Monique, you're not worthy. Monique, you're not enough. Monique, you don't need to be doing this. You know what? Great. I am not worthy enough. You know what? I am a sinner. I am full of flaws. But do you know what? It is Jesus working through me where I find my confidence. I don't find my confidence in me. I know who I am. I know what kind of a jerk I can be. Half of the time, 2/4 is a half. 3/4 of the time. I know how I act. I know the things that I deal with. I know my flaws. I know my insecurities. I know all of this. That's not where I find my confidence. I find it in Him. He is the victor. He is the victor. I'm going to read it one more time because I love it so much. For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not weapons of this world. On the contrary, they have the divine power to demolish strongholds. Demolish, you guys. Demolish. Not just like brush under the rug. We're going to sweep it under the rug for a little while. Oh, pull up the rug, sweep, sweep, sweep. No, it is demolish. Like demolish. That's the kind of God we serve. He doesn't do things halfway, people. He's into mind-blowing experiences. So guys, let's talk about this. I say this back here on this other, I skipped it. But what are those weapons? If they're weapons and they're not weapons of this world, what are they? What are they? It's his word. It's just what I read. It is memorizing. It is meditating. That is the reason why we've got this flip chart here. It's the reason why I'm putting those graphics for you on the Facebook group. Because you need to get it in. That is our ammunition. Those are our weapons. The sword of the Spirit. We are going to read that in. Well, let's go ahead and read it. If you got your M2 flip book here, flip to it. If you don't have it, it's Ephesians. What we're about to read is Ephesians 6, 12 through 17. And then, let's see, we're going to read it, but we just read 6, 12, but we're going to keep on reading through 17. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Here we go. Listen to this. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, and the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. You guys, we are going to take these verses every day. This is the reason why I don't want you to jump ahead, and I don't want you to do day 3, 4, 5 to get caught up. No. One day at a time, because we're going to take these verses that we discussed. We're going to memorize them. We're going to meditate on them. We're going to let them get into our heart, and we are going to speak it over our life. And when that thought comes into our mind, we are going to go, oh no, let me tell you what the word of God says. Oh yeah, no, that is not what defines me. That is not who I am. Let me tell you what my God says. Let me tell you who he says I am. That is what we're going to walk in. That is what we're going to do for the next 21 days. That is how you find freedom. When the things come, we counter it with the word of God. Okay? Finally, if you flip to the back, we're going to go over some walkout points, and then we're going to pray. Okay? On page 15, and if you don't have your book, then what I want you to do is I want you to take notes while I'm talking so you can do some of these things. These are your walkout points, some things that you can do to help you find freedom, okay? Ask the Lord to show you areas from your past you have buried deep that are negatively impacting your life. How is this paralyzing you from moving forward? Do you understand? My past, the story that I walked out, it defined me. It defines me, and it kept me from moving forward. Had I not found freedom and I continued to waller in that pity and in that, oh, this is who I am, I'm a loser, you're always going to be this way, Monique. I could not have the confidence to do what I'm doing right now, talking to you. I would not be able to do had I not found freedom through Jesus. So what is it for you? What are those things that are holding you back? What is paralyzing you? The next thing I want you to do, have you been hurt? Write out a letter to those who have hurt you. Tell them how you feel. Don't send it. Don't send it. Instead, take it. Now you've written it out. You've been raw. You've been real. I did it. I did the same exercise, you guys. I wrote it out. I wrote out, this hurt me. This was hurtful to me. These words hurt me. They hurt me. And now I said, Lord, I hand it over to you. Does it define me? Because guess what? I may have got to this point and found success, but if I stop right here and I continue to let other things that have happened and get in my head, it keeps me from continuing to walk and be who I was made to be. Hand it over to God. The next thing says, forgiving and letting go doesn't mean feelings and emotions won't come back to the surface. When they do, Turn to God rather than embracing those emotions. Here's the kicker. Don't fuel those feelings by discussing it with others. When they come to the table, when you see somebody that hurts you, you have a choice right there to go, oh, I don't like you. You are a jerk. Or you could go, yep, you know what, Lord, I hand it over to you. I forgive that person. It is what it is, Lord. It is what it is. Doesn't define me. I forgive them. You have a choice right there in the moment, because it's still going to come back up to the table. But you have a choice what to do with it. Finally, I want you to write down Ephesians 6:13 through 17. Memorize that. It's in your flip book, but if you don't have that, Ephesians 6:13 through 17. And then that goes into the whole armor of God. Pray those verses over your life. And then the next thing is to memorize the other verses that we talked about, which if you don't have the book, let me tell you what they are so you can write them down. John 10:10. That's where it talks about the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He does. But God has come to give us life and life more abundantly. So don't be fearful. 2 Corinthians 10:3 through 5. That's the verse that fires me up. Our fight is not. We live in this world, but we don't wage war as this world does. Meditate, memorize on that. And then finally, Ephesians 6:12 through 17. That goes into the armor of God. So think about those things today, guys. Think about it. Your past does not define you, all right? It doesn't define you. Let's pray. Lord, I love you. And I thank you for every single person who's watching this, who's watching it live, who's watching the video. You know the things that they're going through. You know the things that they've walked through. You know their past. You know their hurts. You know the words that have been spoken over them. And right now, Jesus, I pray that they begin to feel your peace. The weight that has been on their shoulders, the weight that they have been carrying around like these chains attached to them that they're dragging everywhere they go. The hopelessness, the despair, the lack of sleep at night over everything that is weighing so heavy on them. Lord, I pray in your name, you have defeated, you have overcome, and in your name, they will not hold on to that any longer. They will walk in freedom. They will find peace. They will lay their head down tonight and find the most restful night's sleep ever, because they have found peace with you. The hopelessness that they have been walking in and day out will not be there any longer in your name. Jesus, you have the power to demolish strongholds. We will not be held captive any longer, and we will walk forward in the abundant life that you have set out for us. In your name, we walk in freedom. Thank you that we find freedom in you. Lord, you have given us a hope and a future, a destiny. You have created us for such a time as this, and we no longer will be defined and held back by what has happened to us. We love you, Jesus. In your name, amen. All right, guys, I love you. I love you so much, and I cannot wait. I'm telling you, I cannot wait to see the stories and the things that unfold in your life, because you are embracing these concepts, these topics. You are handing over control to God, and you are walking in freedom. You are designed for a specific thing. You are unique. We are going to talk about that tomorrow. Now that you've given God control, and now that you've found freedom, tomorrow we are going to talk about your unique design, because you are not an accident. You are not an accident. You are unique. You are gifted and you are talented, and you are made for such a time as this, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. I can't wait to see you back. I'm not ignoring your comments. If you're on Facebook Live, I'm going to read back through them, okay? We're going to discuss things tomorrow. I love you, and I'll put this back up on YouTube for you guys to watch for those who are not on Facebook Live, okay? I love you. Have a great day. See ya.